So after a little bit of a interesting start there off of the green flag waving, here is your grid for our last Minimax race of the season. And what's more, it comes down to this final race to decide the title. Here is your starting grid after an impressive display, winning the pre-final by nearly 9.7 seconds. It's Great Britain's Jacob Ashcroft that leads from pole position. Max Swiderski, who's leading in the way of the championship standings considering drop scores, is lining up on the front row. His title protagonist, Boris Maximov, is on the inside of row 2 with Mats van Rooyen alongside. Albert Friend and Jente Moonen ran at row 3 with Felipe Reyes and Glenn Schwillens row 4. Denny Babacek back in action for the final time this weekend. He starts 9th ahead of Alexander Van Meeuwen. They ran out the top 10. Lieke van Berkel, Thomas van Vliet, Len Abbas, Victor Reutz, Zege Fransens, Bran van der Beken, Thomas Verheyen, Rory Armstrong, Malon Di Salvo. So we're going to have 19 drivers. Carlos Nees not starting after the incident in the opening race. And we've got someone pulling into the pits. That was a GKS kart. I've got a feeling, I hope that's not Alexander Van Meeuwen. And someone else has gone off. And that is the 180. Thomas Verheyen trying to pull the car off of the grass. Jumps in the cart, hits the starter button, and away he goes. So, in this race, if Swiderski finishes ahead of Maximov, he's pretty much wrapped up the title. And that's based on the account of Swiderski having a higher finish in pre-final on day 2 earlier on today, and Maximov finishing in 3rd place. Red lights on the starting gantry for the final time for the Minimax drivers in 2022. 13 minutes set to count down the minute the red lights go out on the starting gantry as Ashcroft and Swiderski line up on the front row. They are controlling the pace. So the drivers make their way out of turn number 12. They head into the tram lines. Revs rise. Are we ready? Are we steady? We're lights out and racing. Good start by Ashcroft as he leads the field into turns 1 and 2 for the first time. Swiderski is trying to keep it pinned round the outside to keep a hold of that second position. And now he's gone through on Ashcroft because he can use the runoff area on the opening lap. And now Boris Maximov finds himself behind Mats van Rooyen and Albert Friend. Ashcroft retakes the lead through turn number 6. Switchback attempt by Swiderski, and that does not happen. Drivers now, it's 3 abreast, and they're getting a bit too close for comfort. I thought it was Alexander Van Meeuwen, but he is actually out there. So, and now Maximov is really being pressurized by those in front, and now he's dropped behind Denny Babacek, and Maximov finds himself in 6th position. But Swiderski keeping with Ashcroft as they cross the line, 6 100ths apart with a pair after just the opening lap. And Albert Friend has got through on Mats van Rooyen. So is the 1-1-2 of Denny Babacek. Not too far behind is Felipe Reyes. So Van Rooyen really up against it at the moment as the top 2 have really broken away quite early. Now Van Rooyen's going to lose out 4th position to Denny Babacek. Drops down into 5th place. And now Boris Maximov gets past. So Maximov trying to do all he can. There's Felipe Reyes quickly looking up the inside. And Mats van Rooyen. Oh, and there's a little bit of a touch between Jente Moonen as Alexander Van Meeuwen went up the inside through into turn 2. Might have been a little bit of a robust manoeuvre, but the 127 now through. Maximov loses a position, threads the eye of the needle, gets the switch back on Van Rooyen, and then gets back through. Felipe Reyes nearly got compromised in the process through turn 6. But Swiderski is exactly where he needs to be. He doesn't need to win the race. And there's the 161 that's out. That is Len Abbas from Germany. And that was actually in the pit lane about halfway down, so whether there was a technical issue. Albert Friend, in the meantime, has just lost out third position to Denny Babacek. But it's the Ashcroft and Swiderski show at the moment, with Ashcroft now starting to try and pull a slender gap over the 119 from the Netherlands. So Ashcroft and Swiderski just over half a second apart. Babacek third, Friend in fourth. Maximov rounds out the top 5 places. So behind, I think that is Boris Maximov in the... Well, that's actually Rory Armstrong. Armstrong's made some great moves up the order. As a youngster from County Down, Northern Ireland, finds himself in what is 12th position. But it is all kicking off at the back, well, a little bit further back behind Alexander Van Meeuwen, because he's got the likes of Felipe Reyes, Jente Moonen and Thomas Verheyen. Rory Armstrong's trying to close on in. See if he can get into the top 10. And Jente Moonen with a second and a half up the inside of Felipe Reyes through turn number 12. Felipe Reyes as Jente Moonen back up the inside again. They have got the 180 of Thomas Verheyen, not too far behind, well, literally within a cart length or two, as we hit the halfway point. And, oh, right, Jente Moonen. I'm not too sure if the 110 from Belgium has just had a drama. And now, at the moment, Albert Friend has got past Denny Babacek. So these two swap positions. Rory Armstrong now making his way through. I think he's just got past Glenn Schvillens. That'll be for 10th on the road as Jacob Ashcroft has started moving away from Max Swiderski. Swiderski is now 1.2 seconds behind. So 8 minutes down, 5 to go. Swiderski is exactly where he needs to be. But he's got 3 other drivers behind, one of which at the end of that train is his closest rival. So he's got Albert Friend, Denny Babacek, and at the rear end of the train is Boris Maximov. So 4 minutes and 20 seconds still remaining on the clock. Thomas van Vliet has got past Lieke van Berkel. That is for 12th position on the road, which is effectively 4 points. Still a bit close for comfort, I think, for Swiderski. But he knows for a fact that there's an opportunity for those. But he has now dropped down into what was 4th. Denny Babacek slingshots past Albert Friend. And then Swiderski manages to get back up into 3rd position as a result of that. So with 3 minutes to go of the season, plus an additional lap, Swiderski is now having to fight, and he finds himself down in effectively what is 4th position. Looks like Bran van der Weken is going to be the next retiree on lap 7. But Ashcroft has pulled away to the tune of nearly 2.9 seconds. But Denny Babacek and Albert Friend. Oh, right, there's been a further change because Boris Maximov is managing to get past Max Swiderski. But at the moment as things stand, that is not going to get in the way of Swiderski actually being ahead in terms of the title permutations. So Maximov will want to try and do his level best, but with 1 minute and 20 on the clock to go, plus an additional lap, that's never easy, considering the distance that Jacob Ashcroft has got on the rest of the opposition. It's effectively 3.1 seconds. So 3/4 of a minute plus an additional lap of this season still to go for these drivers. And the way things that things are looking now is the driver in fifth position, Max Swiderski, is on the fringes of picking up another BNL Karting Series title, the previous one of which he actually secured as a Micromax driver 2 years ago. So it's going to be close between... Oh, right. Felipe Reyes has now got a 5-second time penalty. It looks like coming his way. The timer hits 0. Last lap board of the season is out. And Ashcroft is nearly 2.9 seconds ahead. Glenn Schwillens and Rory Armstrong battling over P10 as they go into turns 1 and 2 for the final time of asking. Albert Friend trying to do his level best to see if he can get past Denny Babacek for what is second position on the road, but that's easier said than done. It's one thing to catch somebody, it's something completely different to pass them. But our race leader, it's going to be a double victory for Jacob Ashcroft. But keep your eyes on the driver coming through the final corner, because by my calculations, Max Swiderski, I think, might have just picked up a second title because he finished in 5th position. Boris Maximov will miss out by probably just over 10 points. Yet Thimunen a bit frustrated coming across the line and waggles the steering wheel left and right. But by my calculations, your 2022 BNL Karting Series Minimax champion is the driver that finishes 5th on the road here in the final. And provisionally, that driver is the 119 of Max Swiderski. So Jacob Ashcroft wins by nearly 3.4 seconds at the end of 14 laps of racing with Denny Babacek. Boris Maximov, our runner-up this season, in 3rd, ahead of Albie Friend, Max Swiderski, Felipe Reyes, Alexander Van Meeuwen, Mats van Rooyen, Thomas Verheyen, Glenn Schwillens running at the top 10. Rory Armstrong just literally less than a 10th away from pipping, getting into the top 10. Finishes 11th ahead of Thomas van Vliet, Lieke van Berkel, Victor Reutz, Jent Thimunen, Zeger Fransens and Marlon Di Salvo, who rounded out the 17 but finished all 14 laps of racing, with Bram van der Weken and Len Abbas retiring on laps 7 and 2 with Carlos Nees a non-starter.